What is it that you know about the nature of the reality that we all live in that the average person really has no idea about? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because, going back to what I said earlier, 3 years ago, before I started doing all this podcast stuff and started interviewing people that had been involved in spy work and the CIA and all this, I was kind of like naive to the way that the world worked. I thought if I have a password on my device is secure. And I thought that,
Right.
all these kind of just simple things. But what is it that you know about the nature of reality that most people don't?
Well, I guess it's a couple of things. John Kennedy called the CIA the best and the brightest. And we're not. We're just average people. And we're not as smart as we think we are. We're not as worldly as we think we are. We've pretty much missed every major global development since 1947, from the rise of the Berlin Wall to the fall of the Berlin Wall to the fall of the Soviet Union to the Suez Crisis and the Iran hostage crisis and 9/11 and everything else. We missed it. We're really good at day-to-day, updates for the president. We're really good at recruiting minor hangers-on around terrorist groups, but the big picture items, we're just not good at it, number one. Number two, until 9/11, it was against the law, like in stone, to spy on Americans. And now billions of dollars are spent spying on Americans, whether it's NSA or CIA or FBI or intelligence community contractors. Nothing is secret. Nothing. And to make matters worse, let's say maybe you did do something that law enforcement might be interested in. They don't need a warrant anymore. They don't need to go to a judge and say, well, we have reason to believe, blah, blah, blah. All they have to do is just buy your metadata because it's for sale. Just go to the carrier. Just buy it. They don't need a judge's order to do that. It's all out there. We've made ourselves vulnerable. All of our lives are out there, whether it's on Facebook or X or Insta or whatever. If they really want to get you, they're going to get you, which reminds me of a book written by Dr. Harvey Silverglate. He's a professor of law at Harvard, and it's called 3 Felonies a Day. And he argues in this book that we are so over-criminalized, so over-regulated in this country that the average American on the average day going about his or her normal business commits 3 felonies every day. You may not mean to, but you do every day. So if they decide they want you, they don't like your politics, they can get your metadata, they can go through that metadata, find crimes that they can charge you with, and ruin your life. And there's nothing you can do to protect yourself.
To some extent, they did that to you.
Yeah, they did. They did that to me.
Because you spoke out about a torture program that was happening in the CIA.
Yeah, John Brennan wrote a letter to Eric Holder and said, charge him with espionage. And Holder wrote back. Eric Holder was the Attorney General. Holder wrote back and said, my people don't think he committed espionage. And John Brennan wrote back to Holder and said, charge him anyway and make him defend himself. So they arrested me and charged me with 5 felonies, including 3 counts of espionage. Espionage can be a death penalty case. Charged me with espionage. They waited until I went bankrupt 10 months later with $2 million in legal fees. And then they dropped the espionage charges. And they said, we can re-add the espionage charges, or you can take a plea to this lesser charge. What are you going to do? Roll the dice, knowing that the government wins 98.2% of its cases, according to ProPublica? Or do you just take the deal and make it go away? And that's what I did.
And you got roughly 2 years in jail.
Yeah, I ended up doing 23 months. Mm-hmm.
And for anyone that doesn't know, this was because at some point in your career, you spoke out about torture programs that were happening in Guantanamo Bay and elsewhere.
Yeah, and at secret prisons that the CIA had set up around the world, right?
And going back up to the top of my question here, I'm really trying to speak to Jane, Dave, who's listening to this right now.
Sure.
They have a normal life.
Yep.
They're not really aware that spies exist and the extent of the work they do. They kind of assume that everything they see and people they interact with are normal, and they think their devices and everything else is secure. What message do you have for them, a word of warning or caution about the reality?
Yeah, that's a good question. Eliot Spitzer, the former governor of New York, when he was Attorney General of New York, he said, "Don't nod when you can motion. Don't speak when you can nod. And don't ever put anything in a text message." At the CIA on our very first day, they told us not to ever say or do anything that we would be ashamed to see on the front page of the Washington Post. I took that seriously. The truth of the matter is, because of technology the way it is today, our whole lives are out there potentially for someone to see, for someone to use against us. So be careful what you say, be careful what you write, even in jest, because it can be taken out of context to target you.
And what about digital security? You talked about the fact that it's possible for these forces, and not just the US, but other countries, to be able to hack and crack your devices and see anything on your devices. I think we will go around assuming that our devices are secure.
They're not secure at all. At all. It's not just, NSA, CIA, FBI that you have to worry about. It's the British, the French, the Germans, the Canadians, the Australians, the New Zealanders, the Russians, the Chinese, the Israelis, the Iranians. I mean, everybody has these capabilities. Everybody. So you've got to be very, very careful.
Capabilities to do what?
To intercept communications.
I've heard you say that they can hack car systems. They could theoretically hack into my car.
Yes, we know that from WikiLeaks. There was something in 2017 called the Vault 7 revelations. There was a CIA software engineer who was disgruntled. And instead of going to the Russians or the Chinese, he went to WikiLeaks. And he downloaded thousands, tens of thousands of pages of documents classified above top secret. And they became what WikiLeaks called the Vault 7 documents. So they included things like the CIA, for example, will hack into, let's say, the Iranian Ministry of Interior computer system. But they'll leave little electronic clues, all written in Cyrillic.
Cyrillic is what?
The Cyrillic is the alphabet, the Russian alphabet.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Or they can take control of your smart TV remotely, and they can make the speaker turn into a microphone. So even though the TV is off, it can still hear everything that's being said in the room and broadcast back to the CIA.
Can they do that with devices? Do they?
Oh, they could do that. When I first got hired, they were able to do that.
So they could be doing that right now with my
totally.
My iPad.
Absolutely, yes. That's old technology. And then the thing about the car, this was revelatory. They can take control, again remotely, of a car's computer system in order to, in order to kill you.
Crash the car.
Crash the car, take it off a bridge, take it into a tree. Sure.
I've heard you talk about sleeper agents before.
Yes.
What is a sleeper agent?
Yeah, the Russians are very good with sleeper agents. We Americans don't have, no other country that we know of uses sleeper agents. A sleeper agent is someone who is taken virtually from birth and trained to be of another nationality. For example, let's say you're born in Russia, and from the age of 2, they take you from your family with your family's acquiescence, and they take you to an American-style town that they've built out in the hinterland in Russia. And they teach you to speak English with an American accent. You watch American TV shows, you watch American movies, you eat American food, you get an American-style education. So I have no idea that you're not American. You speak English just like I do. You know all the same, social references that I make. You follow the Philadelphia Eagles, or the, San Francisco 49ers or whatever. And then they send you to the United States with a fake ID. What they'll do is they'll go through, I was born in 1964, so they'll go through death records from 1964 and they'll look for deaths where the person was only a day or two old. And they'll take that name and the birth date and they'll get a social security card with the birth date. And then they'll use the social security card to get you a passport, an American passport. So you come here on your American passport, everything's legit. Now your name is, Bob Smith, which was really that baby's name that died. And you get a job, let's say, as a travel agent. And you may work as a travel agent for 20 years and never hear from them. But then they'll activate you and they'll say, we want you to go take care of this target over here.
Kill him.
Yeah. Or we want you to get a job at the Defense Department and give us everything that you can steal. Whatever. There's a woman in my neighborhood who was outed as a sleeper about a year ago. She was an elementary school teacher and they grabbed her and they ended up trading her back to the Russians for 2 Americans. So they're out there. I interviewed a sleeper, a former sleeper, on my own podcast a couple of weeks ago. He was from the East German Intelligence Service, and he was raised as an American and sent to New York. He got a job, I forget doing what, like restaurant supply company or something like that. And he got married and he had a daughter. And he told me, as soon as I looked at her face the day she was born, I realized this life wasn't for me anymore. So they sent him an activation. What they do is they'll send you a radio message. And he didn't respond to it. And he told me he was on the subway one day. He's just standing there holding the strap. And this guy came up to him, and the guy grabs the strap next to him and whispers in his ear, if you don't report back, I have to kill you. And so he ran straight to the FBI field office in New York. And he said, I'm an East German sleeper, and I want to turn myself in. And he became a prolific source for the FBI.
So he was taken as a young person.
Yes.
What was his story?
Yeah, taken as a young person, sent to Russia to become American. Mm-hmm. They set him up with this phony identity. Mm-hmm. And then after he had gone through all the training, he came over here young. He was like 20 or 22 and did this for 25 years. And then he said as soon as his daughter was born, he was like, wow, this is what life is for, not being a sleeper.
Do you think the average person listening to this conversation right now is interacting in their life at this exact moment in time with someone who is involved in espionage, spying, the CIA, or some international equivalent?
Probably not. Because they're mostly focused, foreign intelligence officers are going to be spread out all over America. If a listener of this podcast is working in a defense company, a defense contractor, anywhere in America, then my answer is yes. Yes, you're probably encountering espionage of some sort or somebody committing espionage, whether it's Russian, Chinese, or Israeli. They're the 3 biggest ones that go after us. In Washington, I mean, foreign spies, there could be as many as 10,000 in Washington. I remember my first wife, she was teaching ballet at a small private school, and one of the students there, they were all like 4, 5, and 6 years old. One of the students there, her father was a Belgian diplomat. And so we would sit and talk and, oh, aren't the kids talented? And, oh, this is so much fun. They look so cute in their little tutus. And then I went to work one day, and as I was walking in, he was walking in. And I said, oh, come on, Peter. And he's like, I thought you were a spy. And I said, I actually didn't think you were a spy. And he was just going for a liaison meeting. And we had a good chuckle about it. And I said, listen, don't tell anybody, right? Right, sorry.
So I'm trying to figure out how many spies do you think there are in the United States? If you think about
Foreign spies,
domestic spies, people that are basically undercover.
Including Americans, you mean?
Including Americans.
The number of CIA employees is classified. The number of CIA employees undercover is actually even more highly classified. I can give you a guesstimate.
But also, you know, Russia, China.
Yeah, 50 to 60,000 altogether.
50 or 60,000 in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
So by a couple of degrees of separation, if you know 100 people.
Yeah, you're probably going to know one. Sure.
You said there's probably about 50,000 in the United States. So I've just done some quick math on my notepad here, which means that in order to know one, you'd need to meet 6,600 people.
Okay.
Because the US population is roughly 330 million people.
That's right.
And then I did some other maths and did some research, and I asked, the question I was trying to figure out is how many people does the average person meet a year? And it's roughly about 3 to 10,000 people. So, theoretically.
So the chances are good?
Every year, statistically, according to my napkin math, you're meeting one of these undercover spies. One a year.
There it is. Now, that number I gave you is, I'm lumping like all CIA people and all foreign intelligence officers in the United States.
Interesting.
But again, if you work for an American defense company, Northrop Grumman, Lockheed Martin, Boeing, any of them, your chances of encountering a foreign intelligence officer are even money.
Can't you, as a spy with the United States, ask the United States to give you loads of money? Like, can't you say, oh, you really want me to go do that? Can I have $1 million? Because you're potentially giving away a lot of money to other people.
Oh my God, giving away like unlimited amounts of money.
Because your budget when you were a spy, how much was it?
After 9/11, it was unlimited.
What does that mean? It means you can basically give away as much money as you need to.
If I approach somebody and he says, I can give you this terrorist, I want 10 million. I'm like, done.
What was the most you ever gave in
10 million.
You gave someone 10 million? For what?
Abu Zubaydah.
Who's Abu Zubaydah?
We believed that Abu Zubaydah was the number 3 in Al-Qaeda. He wasn't the number 3, but he was a very bad guy. I led the raids that captured Abu Zubaydah in Pakistan, Faisalabad, Pakistan, in March of 2002. And the State Department had a $10 million reward. We ended up giving the $10 million to the Pakistani intelligence service. It wasn't
a person.
It was just really great analysis that led us to him. But there were others in the so-called war on terror who got more than 10 million and got it like within 24 hours.
Individuals?
How
much?
One got 25 million.
Just a person?
Uh-huh. And the thing is, there's a lot of danger there. If you're a shepherd or a T-boy and you make $40 a month and all of a sudden you have $25 million, something's up.
And what was the 25 million for?
It was for a very high-ranking foreign terrorist who was brought to justice. I can't say, because it was never publicly disclosed. But what we would have to do in a situation like that is we would have to tell the source, you can't live here anymore. Pick a country, and that's going to be home from now on. And then we go to that country and say, hey, can you do us a solid? We've got this guy who, he really came through, and he's not going to be a burden on your economy.
Because he's got $25 million. Mm-hmm. Which country did he pick?
Oh, I can't tell you that. He wanted to stay in the region. He wasn't willing to move to the United States, for example. Because we're happy to take him. You're welcome to come to the United States. He's like, absolutely not.
He went to Dubai.
I would.
Yeah, with the tax code. If you love the Diary of a CEO brand and you watch this channel, please do me a huge favor. Become part of the 15% of the viewers on this channel that have hit the subscribe button. It helps us tremendously, and the bigger the channel gets, the bigger the guests.